The millionaire next door isn't luckier than you. They're not more talented, more connected, or born under a better star. They're broadcasting on a different frequency while you're stuck on static. Every single thought you think is a radio signal going out into the world, attracting matching circumstances back to you. Most people transmit poverty consciousness on repeat without even realizing the dial is set wrong. Your mental frequency determines your financial altitude. Change the channel. Change your bank account. It's that simple and that profound. Fortune isn't random. It's resonant. The universe responds to the vibration you're actually emitting, not the one you wish you had or the one you tell yourself you have. Right now, in this very moment, you're broadcasting a signal, and that signal is bringing you exactly what you're tuned to receive. Think about your radio for a moment. When you want to listen to classical music, you don't tune to the rock station and then complain that Mozart isn't playing. You don't sit there getting angry at the radio, wondering why it won't give you what you want. You simply turn the dial until you find the frequency that carries what you're looking for. Your mind works exactly the same way. Wealth exists on a specific frequency. Success vibrates at a particular rate. Abundance broadcasts on a channel that most people have never even scanned past. And here's the thing that changes everything. You already have access to every frequency. You're not missing any equipment. You're not lacking any special receiver. You've just never learned how to tune the dial properly. For years, maybe decades, you've been set to the same station. It's playing the same songs over and over. The lyrics go something like this. Money is hard to come by. Rich people are lucky or corrupt. I'll never get ahead. Things never work out for me. I'm not the kind of person who gets big breaks. These thoughts loop continuously in the background of your consciousness, and each repetition strengthens the signal. You're broadcasting loud and clear, and the universe is responding with perfect precision. It's giving you exactly what you're asking for, which is more evidence that money is hard, success is for other people, and you're stuck where you are. But something brought you here today. Some part of you knows there's another station available. You've maybe caught glimpses of it, brief moments when you felt aligned with something bigger, times when opportunities seemed to flow effortlessly, periods when money showed up just when you needed it. Those weren't flukes. Those were moments when, accidentally or temporarily, you shifted your frequency. You tuned into the abundance bandwidth, even if just for a few seconds. And now you're going to learn how to find that frequency deliberately, lock onto it permanently, and turn up the volume until fortune has no choice but to flood into your life. The first thing you need to understand is what I call the broadcast principle. Every thought you think creates a ripple in the field of energy that surrounds you and connects you to everything else in the universe. This isn't mysticism or wishful thinking. Quantum physics has shown us that observation affects reality, that consciousness plays a role in shaping the material world. Your thoughts are not contained inside your skull. They radiate outward as frequencies, as vibrations, as signals that interact with the larger field of possibility. When you think a thought repeatedly, you're not just having an internal experience. You're broadcasting a message into the world, and that message acts like a magnet, drawing corresponding experiences, people, and circumstances into your orbit. Most people go through life completely unaware that they're broadcasting anything at all. They think their thoughts are private, inconsequential, just mental chatter that doesn't affect anything beyond their own mood. This is the single biggest mistake you can make when it comes to creating wealth. Your thoughts are the most powerful creative force you possess. Every empire, every innovation, every work of art, every fortune began as a thought in someone's mind. But here's what separates the wealthy from everyone else. They understand that thinking about wealth once in a while, or wishing for it, or hoping for it, does nothing. The frequency of fortune requires consistent, deliberate, focused broadcasting. It requires you to hold a mental station steady despite what's happening around you. Right now, your current mental frequency has created an invisible ceiling on your income and your opportunities. You might not see this ceiling because it doesn't announce itself. It operates silently in the background, filtering out possibilities that don't match your broadcast frequency. Job opportunities that would transform your financial situation never quite reach your awareness. Business ideas that could make you wealthy get dismissed before they fully form. People who could open doors for you somehow never cross your path, or when they do, you don't recognize the significance of the encounter. This isn't bad luck. This isn't the universe being unfair. This is the natural result of your current frequency creating a reality that matches itself. Your mind is always seeking evidence to confirm what it already believes. If your frequency is set to struggle, You'll notice every difficulty, every setback, every closed door. These observations will reinforce your belief that success is hard, which strengthens your struggle frequency, which attracts more struggle. It's a self-perpetuating cycle, and most people ride this loop their entire lives without ever realizing they have the power to step off. The ceiling isn't imposed on you from outside. You're creating it with every thought, every assumption, every story you tell yourself about why things are the way they are. But here's the liberating truth. If you created this ceiling with your frequency, you can dissolve it the same way. You can change the channel. You can retune your mental broadcast. And when you do, that invisible barrier vanishes because it was never solid to begin with. It was just a frequency pattern, a habitual way of thinking that seemed like reality because you'd been tuned to it for so long. The wealthy people you see around you aren't operating under different rules. They're operating on a different frequency. They think thoughts that match abundance. They hold mental images that align with success. They broadcast a signal that says wealth is natural, expected, and constantly flowing. And the universe, responding to that frequency with perfect precision, delivers matching circumstances. Now let's get specific about identifying your current default station. This is crucial because you can't change a frequency you're not aware of. Most of your thoughts are unconscious. They run like background programs, operating automatically without your conscious direction. These automatic thoughts create what I call poverty loops, and they're far more common than you might realize. A poverty loop is any thought pattern that keeps you locked into scarcity consciousness. It might sound like this: I can't afford that. I wish I had enough money. Rich people are greedy. Money doesn't grow on trees. I'm just not good with money. I'll never get out of debt. Things are so expensive these days. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. There's never enough. Listen to yourself for just one day. Really pay attention to the thoughts that move through your mind, especially thoughts about money, wealth, success, and opportunity. You might be shocked at how many of them are tuned to lack, struggle, and limitation. These thoughts feel true because you've been thinking them so long they've become your baseline reality. But they're not truth with a capital T. They're just a frequency you've gotten used to, a station you've been locked onto, probably since childhood. Most of us inherited our money frequency from our parents, who inherited it from theirs. You've been programmed with beliefs about wealth that were formed decades or even generations before you were born. Maybe you grew up hearing that money is the root of all evil, or that rich people are selfish, or that wanting wealth is somehow spiritually corrupt. Maybe you watched your parents struggle and concluded that struggle is just how life works. Maybe you experienced lack as a child and decided deep in your subconscious that lack is your identity. These aren't just memories. They're active frequencies still broadcasting in your present-day consciousness. And until you identify them, examine them, and consciously choose to retune away from them, they'll continue to create your financial reality. There's a particular flavor of thought that always indicates you're on the poverty frequency. It's the thought that begins with, I can't because I don't have enough money. This single thought pattern might be the most powerful wealth-repelling frequency in existence. Every time you think it, you're broadcasting lack. You're affirming limitation. You're sending a signal that says you exist in a reality where resources are scarce and you're on the losing end of that scarcity. The universe hears this broadcast and responds by sending you more experiences of not having enough. It's not punishing you. It's matching your frequency with perfect fidelity. People on the abundance bandwidth think completely differently when they encounter something they want but don't currently have money for. Instead of I can't afford that, they think, how can I afford that? Or that's coming soon, or I'm attracting the resources for that now. These might seem like subtle shifts, but they represent completely different frequencies. One broadcasts lack and limitation. The other broadcasts creativity, expectation, and possibility. One closes doors. The other opens them. Your financial reality will always reflect. Now take a moment right now and ask yourself this. Which person's thought patterns sound more like your own? Be honest, this isn't about judgment. It's about awareness. You can't retune a frequency you're not willing to acknowledge. Have you been broadcasting lack without realizing it? Have you been confirming limitation with every thought? Have you been tuning to the struggle station so consistently that it feels like the only reality available? The good news is that awareness itself begins the shift. The moment you recognize a poverty frequency thought, you've created space to choose differently. You've started the retuning process. But before we get to the new frequency, you need to understand what you're tuning into. You need to know what the abundance bandwidth actually is and how it operates. Because here's what might surprise you. The abundance frequency doesn't sound like you might expect. It's not about positive affirmations repeated robotically. It's not about pretending you have money you don't have. It's not about fake enthusiasm or denial of your current circumstances. The abundance bandwidth is a specific mental state characterized by several key qualities, and once you understand these qualities, you can deliberately cultivate them. First, the abundance frequency is rooted in expectation rather than hope. Hope says, maybe this will work out. Expectation says, this is working out. Hope is passive and uncertain. Expectation is active and assured. When you're truly broadcasting on the abundance frequency, you expect wealth to flow. You expect opportunities to appear. You expect solutions to emerge. This expectation isn't based on current evidence. It's based on your understanding that the universe responds to your frequency. You expect abundance because you know you're broadcasting abundance, and you trust the matching process. Second, the abundance frequency is characterized by gratitude for what already exists. This is where most people get confused. They think gratitude means settling for less or accepting a reality they don't want. But gratitude is actually the fastest way to shift your frequency upward. When you feel genuine appreciation for what you have right now, no matter how modest it might be, you're broadcasting a signal of sufficiency. You're saying to the universe, I have enough. I am enough. I live in a reality where needs are met. This signal attracts more to be grateful for. Scarcity consciousness, on the other hand, broadcasts, it's not enough. I'm not enough. I'm lacking. And the universe sends more lack. Third, the abundance frequency includes absolute certainty that wealth is your natural state. People on the poverty frequency see wealth as something external, something you have to chase, earn, fight for, and might never achieve. People on the abundance frequency understand wealth as an inside job. They know they are valuable. They know they have gifts to offer. They know the universe is abundant by nature, not scarce. This certainty shows up in how they speak, how they carry themselves, how they make decisions, and how they respond to both opportunities and obstacles. It's not arrogance. It's alignment with truth. Fourth, the abundance frequency maintains steady regardless of temporary circumstances. This is the most challenging aspect for most people. When money gets tight, when unexpected expenses appear, when income dips, the automatic response is to shift into panic, which is the lowest poverty frequency available. But people who've mastered the abundance bandwidth have trained themselves to stay steady. They acknowledge the circumstance without letting it change their frequency. They think, this is temporary. Solutions are coming. I'm still on the path to wealth. This steady frequency allows solutions to reach them that would be blocked by panic. And fifth, the abundance frequency is playful rather than desperate. Desperation is one of the strongest poverty signals you can broadcast. When you desperately need money, you're literally broadcasting need, and need attracts more need. The abundance frequency has a quality of lightness, curiosity, even playfulness about wealth creation. It asks, what would be fun? What would feel expansive? What would be an adventure? This doesn't mean you're not serious about wealth. It means you're not strangling the flow with desperate energy. So here's the picture. You've been broadcasting on a frequency that creates struggle, limitation, and lack. That frequency feels normal to you because it's been your default for years. But there's another frequency available, one characterized by expectation, gratitude, certainty, steadiness, and playfulness. This is the abundance bandwidth, and the question that determines your financial future is simple. Are you willing to retune? Are you willing to change the channel even though the old station feels familiar? Are you willing to hold a new frequency even when your current circumstances seem to contradict it? Before we go further, Let's take a moment to clear some of the static that's been interfering with your signal. I want you to pause whatever you're doing if possible. If you're driving or in a situation where you need to stay alert, just continue listening. But if you can, give yourself this moment fully. Take a deep breath in through your nose, as deep as you can, filling your lungs completely. Hold it for just a moment. Now, release it slowly through your mouth, letting every bit of tension flow out with the exhale. Again, breathe in slowly, deeply, intentionally. Hold and release, even slower this time, like you're releasing old frequencies with the breath. One more time, breathing in fresh possibility, breathing out old limitations. As you breathe normally now, notice how your body feels. Notice the thoughts moving through your mind. Just observe without judgment. You're beginning to clear the static. You're creating space for a new frequency to emerge. Clearing the static means removing the limiting beliefs and negative self-talk that distort your broadcast signal. These beliefs act like interference, scrambling your frequency, so that even when you try to broadcast abundance, the signal that actually goes out is mixed and weak. The most common forms of static are inherited money stories, past failures you've turned into identity statements, and the constant comparison to others that makes you feel behind or inadequate. Let's address each of these directly because they're probably running in your consciousness right now, blocking your access to the abundance frequency. Inherited money stories are beliefs about wealth that you absorbed from your family and culture without consciously choosing them. Maybe you learned that having too much money makes you a target, so some part of you sabotages your own success to stay safe. Maybe you learned that money comes through hard labor and suffering, so you unconsciously create struggle even when easier paths are available. Maybe you learned that wanting wealth is shallow or greedy, so you've developed a conflicted relationship where you want money but feel guilty about wanting it. These inherited stories are not your truth, but they're broadcasting on your frequency like static on a radio, making it impossible to receive a clear signal. The way to clear inherited money stories is to first identify them, then question them, then replace them with chosen beliefs. Start by finishing this sentence in as many ways as come to mind. Money is whatever comes up, write it down, or speak it out loud. Money is hard to come by. Money is the root of all evil. Money is freedom. Money is security. Money is corrupt. Every answer reveals a belief that's been running your frequency. Now ask yourself, did I consciously choose this belief, or did I absorb it from someone else? Is this belief serving my financial growth, or is it keeping me locked in limitation? Am I willing to release this belief and choose a different one? You don't have to believe your new beliefs at first. You just have to be willing to try them on, to broadcast them intentionally, to see what happens when you retune your frequency. Choose beliefs like these. Money flows easily to me. Wealth is my natural state. I am worthy of abundant resources. Making money can be joyful and aligned with my values. There is more than enough for everyone, including me. Financial success is available to me right now. These aren't just positive statements. They're new frequencies. Every time you think them, speak them, or feel into them, you're retuning your broadcast away from the static of inherited limitation and toward the clear signal of chosen abundance. The second major source of static is past failures that you've turned into identity statements. Maybe you declared bankruptcy once, and now you think of yourself as someone who's bad with money. Maybe a business failed, and now you tell yourself you're not cut out for entrepreneurship. Maybe you made some poor investments, and now you believe you lack financial intelligence. These identity statements are broadcasting constantly, and they create a self-fulfilling prophecy. The universe doesn't care what happened in your past. It only responds to the frequency you're broadcasting right now. But when your frequency includes the message, I am someone who fails with money, the universe will deliver circumstances that match that identity. You are not your past results. You are not your mistakes. You are not the sum of your failures. Those are experiences you had, not who you are. The moment you separate your identity from your past outcomes, You free yourself to broadcast a completely different frequency. Instead of, "I'm bad with money," try, "I'm learning to master wealth." Instead of, "I always fail," try, "I'm building success." Skills. Instead of, "I'm not smart enough," try, "I have access to all the intelligence I need." These shifts might seem small. When you see someone driving a car you'd love to own, instead of feeling envious or discouraged, let that image tune you to the frequency of having that car. Let their success remind you that such things exist and are available. Feel genuine happiness for their good fortune, because happiness and appreciation are high-frequency emotions that attract more goodness into your own life. This shift from comparison to inspiration is one of the most powerful retuning moves you can make. It takes you from broadcasting, "They have it and I don't," to broadcasting, "That's possible for me too." Same observation, completely different frequency, radically different magnetic effect. Now that we've identified the static, let's talk about how to actively tune the dial. This is where visualization becomes your most powerful tool. But I'm not talking about vague daydreaming or wishful thinking. I'm talking about precise mental imagery that shifts your frequency at a neurological level. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you visualize in detail, your nervous system responds as if the visualization is happening. This response shifts your frequency because your thoughts, emotions, and body are all aligned with the reality you're visualizing rather than your current circumstances. Let me guide you through a short visualization right now. Again, if you're driving or need to stay fully alert, just listen. But if you can close your eyes safely, do so. Take a deep breath. I want you to imagine yourself 6 months from now. In this future version of your reality, your financial situation has completely transformed. See yourself checking your bank account and feeling a wave of relief, excitement, and gratitude at the balance you see there. Don't worry about the specific number. Just feel what it would feel like to have more than enough. See yourself making a purchase you've been putting off, and notice that you don't hesitate. You buy it easily, joyfully, knowing that more money is always flowing in. See yourself receiving unexpected income, maybe a check, a payment, a gift. Notice the smile on your face. Feel the sensation of financial ease in your body. Where do you feel it? Your chest? Your shoulders? Your stomach? This feeling is your abundance frequency. This is what you're tuning into. Breathe into this feeling. Let it become familiar. This is your new normal. When you're ready, take a deep breath and bring your awareness back. That exercise wasn't about escaping reality. It was about retuning your frequency. The more you practice that kind of detailed, emotionally engaged visualization, the more your mental broadcast shifts to match it. You're literally training your brain to operate on the abundance frequency. And here's what happens next. When your brain is tuned to abundance through repeated visualization, it starts noticing opportunities that were invisible before. It starts making connections that lead to wealth creation. It starts attracting people and circumstances that match your new frequency. This isn't magic. It's neuroscience combined with the energetic principle of attraction. But visualization alone isn't enough. You need emotional amplifiers. Emotion is the power source that strengthens or weakens your broadcast signal. You can think abundant thoughts all day, but if those thoughts aren't connected to feeling, they're weak signals that don't travel far. Emotion is what turns a thought into a powerful broadcast. This is why people who desperately need money often struggle to attract it. The emotion of desperation, fear, and panic overpowers any positive thoughts about abundance. The feeling is broadcasting louder than the words. The emotions that amplify the abundance frequency are gratitude, joy, excitement, love, appreciation, and peace. Notice that these are all high-vibration emotions. They feel good in your body. They create expansion rather than contraction. When you're feeling these emotions, your frequency naturally rises. You become a magnet for positive experiences. The emotions that block or distort the abundance frequency are fear, anxiety, resentment, envy, shame, and guilt. These are low-vibration emotions. They create contraction in your body. They close you off from receiving. When you're stuck in these emotions, your frequency drops no matter what you're thinking. This is why emotional mastery is essential for wealth creation. You have to become aware of what you're feeling and learn to consciously shift toward higher vibration emotions. This doesn't mean suppressing negative emotions or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means acknowledging what you feel, processing it, and then choosing to shift toward a feeling that serves your frequency better. Let's say you open your email and see an unexpected bill. The automatic emotional response might be panic or frustration. These emotions will immediately drop your frequency and broadcast lack. But you can acknowledge the feeling without staying there. You can think, I feel frustrated right now and that's okay. But I'm choosing to trust that the money for this bill is coming. I'm choosing to stay on the abundance frequency, even though this feels challenging. This kind of emotional regulation is a skill that improves with practice. The more you catch yourself in low vibration emotions and consciously shift, the easier it becomes. And the easier it becomes, the more steady your frequency stays. This steadiness is everything. Most people's frequencies fluctuate wildly based on external circumstances. They feel abundant when money shows up and feel poor when it doesn't. But true masters of the abundance frequency maintain their broadcast regardless of what's happening around them. They've trained themselves to stay on the high frequency channel even when temporary circumstances would justify dropping to a lower one. One of the most powerful emotional amplifiers you can use is strategic gratitude. I call it strategic because it's not just general thankfulness. It's deliberately finding things to appreciate specifically in the realm of money and resources. Most people wait until they have a lot to be grateful for, but that's backward. Gratitude is what attracts more to be grateful for. So even if your bank account is low right now, find something to appreciate about your financial life. Maybe you appreciate that you've always found a way to get by. Maybe you appreciate the roof over your head or the food in your kitchen. Maybe you appreciate a skill you have that could generate income. Maybe you appreciate the fact that you're learning about frequency and finally understanding why your financial reality has been what it's been. Every time you feel genuine gratitude for any aspect of your financial life, you're broadcasting sufficiency. You're sending the signal that you live in a reality where needs are met, where resources exist, where you are supported. The universe hears this signal and responds by giving you more reasons to feel grateful. This is the gratitude resonance, and it's one of the fastest ways to shift your frequency. I challenge you to find 10 things to appreciate about your finances every single day for the next week. They don't have to be big. In fact, appreciating small things is even more powerful because it trains your brain to notice abundance in places you've been overlooking. Think about someone who receives a large unexpected sum of money but has a scarcity frequency. Within months, often weeks, that money is gone. They spend it in ways that don't build wealth. They make poor decisions. They somehow end up right back where they started or worse. Then think about someone with an abundance frequency who's temporarily in a tight financial spot. They stay calm. They trust. They look for opportunities. They take aligned action. And seemingly out of nowhere, money shows up. A new job offer, a freelance gig, a refund they forgot about, a gift. Solutions appear because their frequency is broadcasting, I am abundant, even when current circumstances suggest otherwise. This is the difference between trying to get wealth and being wealth. Trying is effortful and desperate. Being is natural and magnetic. When you're trying to get wealth, you're broadcasting, I don't have it. When you're being wealth, you're broadcasting, this is who I am. The universe doesn't respond to effort. It responds to frequency. You can work incredibly hard from a poverty frequency and stay broke. You can take relaxed, aligned action from an abundance frequency and become wealthy. The action matters, but the frequency behind the action matters infinitely more. This brings us to a critical point: action as signal boost. Some people misunderstand frequency work and think it means just visualizing and feeling good while waiting for money to fall from the sky. That's not how this works. Your frequency attracts opportunities, insights, connections, and ideas. But you still have to act on what comes. The difference is that when you're on the abundance frequency, the actions you take are inspired, aligned, and effective. They feel right. They create momentum. They lead somewhere. When you're on the poverty frequency, actions feel forced, exhausting, and often pointless. You're spinning your wheels, working hard but going nowhere. Inspired action is action that comes from your high-frequency state. It's the idea that pops into your head when you're feeling grateful and abundant. It's the impulse to reach out to someone, to apply for an opportunity, to start a project. It doesn't come from should or have to. It comes from a genuine sense of alignment and excitement. This kind of action is a signal boost because it combines your high frequency with physical movement in the world. You're not just broadcasting abundance. You're acting as an abundant person would act. You're making decisions an abundant person would make. Your frequency maintenance system needs to have 3 components: daily practices that set your broadcast, real-time awareness that catches frequency drops, and recovery protocols that help you return to abundance when you inevitably drift. Let's build each of these systematically so you have a foolproof plan for staying on the abundance bandwidth no matter what life throws at you. First, your daily practices. These are non-negotiable rituals that happen every single day, ideally at the same time, so they become automatic. Your morning practice is the most important because it sets your frequency before the world has a chance to knock you off it. Here's what an effective morning frequency practice looks like. You wake up, and before you reach for your phone, before you check email, before you engage with anything external, you spend 10 minutes tuning your frequency. You start by placing one hand on your heart and taking 3 deep, slow breaths. As you breathe, you say internally or out loud, "I am abundant. Wealth flows to me easily. I am grateful for the resources I have and the resources that are coming. Today I will notice opportunities. Today I will take inspired action. Today I broadcast prosperity." After these opening statements, you move into a brief visualization. Close your eyes and see yourself at the end of today, feeling satisfied, accomplished, and financially secure. See yourself handling money with ease. See yourself receiving good news about finances. See yourself feeling calm and confident about your wealth. Make this visualization as sensory-rich as possible. What are you wearing? Where are you? What expression is on your face? Who's around you? The more detail, the more powerful the frequency shift. Spend 3 to 4 minutes in this visualization, really feeling the emotions of financial ease and abundance. Next, you list 5 things you're grateful for in your financial life right now. Say them out loud if possible. I'm grateful for the money in my account, even though I want more. I'm grateful for my ability to earn. I'm grateful for the roof over my head. I'm grateful for the food I have access to. I'm grateful for the opportunity to learn about frequency and change my reality. Feel the gratitude as you speak each one. Let it settle in your chest. This gratitude portion is crucial because it tunes you to sufficiency, which is the foundation of the abundance frequency. Finally, you set an intention for the day. Today I stay on the abundance frequency no matter what circumstances appear. Today I interpret everything through the lens of prosperity. Today I trust that wealth is flowing to me. Today I am a magnet for financial opportunity. This intention acts as an anchor throughout your day. When challenges arise, you'll remember this intention, and it will help you stay on frequency. The entire morning practice takes 10 minutes. 10 minutes that will completely transform your financial reality if you do them consistently. Can you commit to 10 minutes every morning? Can you make this more important than checking your phone or reading the news? Your wealth depends on it. Your midday practices are shorter but equally important. 3 times throughout your day, you pause for 60 seconds and do a frequency check. Set alarms on your phone if you need to. When the alarm goes off, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, you stop and ask yourself, What frequency am I broadcasting right now? Am I in expectation or worry? Am I in gratitude or complaint? Am I feeling abundant or lacking? You don't judge what you find. You just notice. If you discover you've drifted to a low frequency, you take 3 deep breaths and consciously shift. You think one abundant thought. You recall one thing you're grateful for. You remember your morning visualization. This 60-second reset prevents you from spending hours broadcasting poverty without realizing it. Your evening practice completes the cycle. Right before bed, you spend 5 minutes reviewing your day through the abundance lens. You ask yourself, where did I notice abundance today? What went well financially, even if it was small? Did I receive any money, even a few dollars? Did someone offer me something valuable? Did I have an idea that could generate income? Did I feel grateful at any point? Did I catch myself in poverty thinking and consciously shift? You're training your brain to look for evidence of abundance, and whatever you look for, you'll find more of. This evening practice also sets your subconscious to work on the abundance frequency while you sleep. Your last thoughts before sleep are incredibly powerful because they program your subconscious mind for the next 8 hours. Make them count. Now let's talk about the 30-day frequency transformation challenge. This is your deep dive, your commitment period, your proof that this works. For 30 consecutive days, you're going to follow this exact protocol, and I'm going to walk you through what to expect each week so you know you're on track. This is where theory becomes reality. This is where your frequency shifts from a concept to a lived experience. Are you ready to commit? Not just intellectually agree, but actually commit to 30 days of consistent frequency work. Because if you do this, I promise you, your financial reality will be different on day 31 than it is today. Day 1 through 7 is what I call the awareness week. Your primary goal this week is simply to notice your current frequency without trying to change it too much. Yes, you're doing your morning, midday, and evening practices, but you're also becoming a detective of your own thoughts. Carry a small notebook or use your phone to track every poverty frequency thought you catch. Don't judge them. Just write them down. I can't afford that. This is too expensive. I'll never have enough. Rich people are lucky. I'm so broke. By the end of week 1, you'll have a clear picture of your default frequency, and that awareness alone will begin to shift things. You'll start catching yourself mid-thought and realizing, oh, that's a poverty broadcast. That's what I've been doing unconsciously for years. On day 3 of week 1, something interesting usually happens. You'll have a moment where you notice abundance you've been overlooking. Maybe you find a $20 bill in an old jacket. Maybe someone buys you coffee. Maybe you get a compliment at work. These small things have always been happening, but now you're tuned to notice them because you're looking for evidence of abundance. Write these down too. Start an abundance evidence list. Every single thing that could be interpreted as the universe responding to your new frequency goes on this list. This list becomes rocket fuel for your belief in the process. Day 8 through 14 is the resistance week. This is when your old frequency fights back. You'll have days where you feel discouraged. You'll think, I've been doing this for a week and nothing's changed. You'll want to quit. You'll tell yourself this is stupid, it's not working, you're wasting your time. Expect this. It's not a sign that the process doesn't work. It's a sign that your old frequency is trying to reassert dominance. Your poverty consciousness knows it's losing power, and it's fighting for survival. This is the week where commitment matters more than motivation. You do your practices even when you don't feel like it. You maintain your frequency even when you don't see results yet. You trust the process even when your logical mind is screaming that it's not working. Here's what you need to know about week 2. The universe is responding, but there's a lag time between frequency shift and manifestation. It's like planting seeds. You don't plant a seed and expect a tree the next day. You plant it, water it, and trust that growth is happening underground even when you can't see it yet. Your frequency work in week 2 is watering the seeds. Keep going. On day 12, do an extended visualization session. Spend 20 minutes really immersing yourself in the feeling of financial abundance. See yourself 6 months from now, a year from now, living in complete financial ease. Feel it in your bones. Let yourself smile. Let yourself feel excited. This extended session will reignite your belief and carry you through the rest of the resistance week. Day 15 through 21 is the breakthrough week. This is when most people experience their first tangible evidence that the frequency shift is working. It might be unexpected money showing up. It might be an opportunity appearing out of nowhere. It might be a problem resolving itself easily. It might be someone offering to help you in a way that has financial implications. It might be an idea popping into your head that feels genuinely inspired and potentially lucrative. Whatever form it takes, you'll know it when it happens. You'll feel that click of recognition. Oh, this is the universe responding to my new frequency. When this breakthrough happens, and it will happen in week 3 if you've been consistent, your job is to acknowledge it and amplify it. Write about it in detail. Tell someone who will be excited for you. Feel the full emotion of gratitude and validation. Say out loud, "This is evidence that my frequency work is creating results. The universe is responding to my broadcast. More is coming." This acknowledgement is crucial because it strengthens your belief, which strengthens your frequency, which attracts bigger responses. The breakthrough in week 3 might be small, but it's proof of concept. It's the universe saying, yes, you've tuned to the right channel. Keep broadcasting here. During week 3, add a new practice. Every time you spend money, even on something small like coffee or gas, say internally or out loud, "There's more where that came from. Money flows to me easily and constantly. I am abundant." This practice completely changes. Day 30 is celebration day. You made it. You committed to 30 consecutive days of frequency work, and you proved to yourself that this works. Do something special to mark this achievement. Maybe you buy yourself something you've been wanting, as a demonstration of abundance consciousness. Maybe you donate to a cause you care about, reinforcing that you have resources to share. Maybe you just take yourself out for a nice meal and toast to your transformation. Whatever you do, make it conscious and ceremonial. You're marking the end of the old frequency and the full embodiment of the new one. But here's the truth. Day 31 is when the real work begins. The 30-day challenge proved the concept. Now you need to make frequency maintenance your lifestyle. This is where most people stumble. They complete the challenge, they see results, and then they get comfortable and stop doing the practices. Within weeks, they're back on the old frequency and they wonder why their momentum stopped. Let me give you the relapse-proofing plan so this doesn't happen to you. First, understand that frequency relapse is normal and doesn't mean you've failed. You're going to have days, maybe even weeks, where you drift back to poverty consciousness. A financial crisis hits. A major unexpected expense appears. You lose a source of income. Your fear gets triggered. You panic. You spend 3 days in scarcity thinking before you even realize you've dropped frequency. This will happen. The difference between someone who transforms their financial reality permanently and someone who just has a temporary shift is not whether they relapse. It's how quickly they recover from the relapse. Your relapse recovery protocol starts with recognition. The moment you realize you've been broadcasting poverty, you stop and acknowledge it without judgment. You say to yourself, "I've been off frequency. That's okay. I'm choosing to return to abundance right now." Then you do an emergency frequency reset. This is a condensed version of your morning practice that you can do anywhere, anytime. You take 5 deep breaths. You state 3 things you're grateful for related to money. You visualize yourself in financial ease for 60 seconds. You set an intention. I'm back on the abundance frequency now. This entire reset takes 3 minutes and it works. It pulls you out of the spiral and resets your broadcast. The second part of relapse proofing is having a support system. You need at least one person in your life who understands frequency work and can help you stay accountable. This might be a friend who's also working on their abundance frequency. This might be a coach or mentor. This might be an online community of people doing this work. Whoever it is, you need someone you can text or call when you feel yourself slipping and say, "I'm losing my frequency. Help me remember the truth." And they remind you. They reflect back to you that you're abundant, that temporary circumstances don't define you, that you know how to shift your frequency and you've done it before. Having this support makes relapse recovery 10 times faster. Third, you need to schedule regular frequency audits. Once a week, sit down with your journal and honestly assess your frequency. What percentage of your thoughts this week were abundance-focused versus poverty-focused? What was your dominant emotion around money? Did you take any inspired actions? Did you notice opportunities? Did you maintain your daily practices? This weekly audit keeps you honest and catches small frequency drops before they become major relapses. If you notice you're slipping, you course correct immediately. You don't wait until you're in full poverty consciousness. You adjust at the first sign of drift. Now let's talk about what happens when you maintain your abundance frequency for 3 months, 6 months, a year. This is when wealth creation becomes effortless. This is when you stop working at prosperity and start living from prosperity. Let me tell you about Elena, someone I mentioned earlier who went from bankruptcy to building a 7-figure business. I watched her transformation happen in real time. And I want to share the details because they'll show you what's possible when you commit to this work long term. Elena hit rock bottom financially 3 years before I met her. She'd lost her business, filed for bankruptcy, was living on a friend's couch, had $3 in her bank account. By every external measure, she was broke and broken. But something clicked for her during that low point. She realized that her poverty wasn't circumstantial. It was frequency-based. She'd been broadcasting lack her entire life, and her circumstances were just matching that broadcast. So she made a decision that changed everything. She decided to broadcast abundance even though she had nothing. She decided to hold the frequency of wealth even though her bank account said she was poor. She started doing morning frequency practices while still on that couch with $3. She visualized herself financially free while eating rice and beans because that's all she could afford. She looked for evidence of abundance in the smallest things: a free coffee, a sunny day, a friend's generosity, her own health and intelligence. She caught herself in poverty thoughts dozens of times a day and consciously shifted. She didn't know how her circumstances would change. She just knew they would because she was broadcasting differently. 2 days into her frequency work, something small happened. A former client reached out asking if she could do a small project. The timing seemed miraculous, but Elena understood it wasn't miracle. It was frequency matching. She'd shifted her broadcast, and an opportunity that matched her new frequency appeared immediately. She said yes to the project even though her confidence was shaky. She delivered excellent work because she was working from her new frequency, not her old one. The client was impressed and referred her to someone else. That person hired her for a bigger project. Then another referral came, then another. Within 6 months, Elena was financially stable. She'd moved into her own apartment, paid off some debt, had money in savings. But more importantly, her relationship with money had completely transformed. She wasn't afraid anymore. She wasn't desperate anymore. She expected money to come, and it did. She made decisions from abundance, even when the abundance wasn't fully manifested yet. She invested in herself, in tools and training that would expand her business, trusting that the investment would return multiplied. And it did. By month 9, she doubled her old income. By month 12, she'd tripled it. By month 18, she'd hired her first employee. By month 24, she had a team of 5 and was running a thriving business. By month 36, she'd crossed 7 figures in revenue. The external transformation was dramatic, but Elena always said the internal transformation happened first. She became abundant in her mind before she became abundant in her bank account. She shifted her frequency before her circumstances shifted. And once the frequency was stable, the circumstances had no choice but to match it. I asked Elena what the key moments were in her transformation. She said there were 3. The first was the decision to broadcast abundance no matter what. The second was the day she stopped waiting for evidence and started being evidence. She stopped thinking I'll feel abundant when I have money and started thinking I feel abundant now, so money will come. That shift changed everything. And the third key moment was when she realized that maintaining her frequency was more important than any specific strategy or tactic. She could feel when her frequency was high and when it was dropping, and she got ruthless about protecting it. She limited her exposure to negative people. She stopped watching news that triggered scarcity. She invested in her practices the way other people invest in stocks. Now let's talk about your specific micro-challenges for going from where you are now to where Elena ended up. These are small daily practices that build on the foundation you've already created and accelerate your results. Each micro-challenge targets a specific aspect of frequency mastery, and when you complete all of them, you'll have eliminated virtually every block to wealth that exists in your consciousness. Micro-challenge 1. The Scarcity Fast. For 7 consecutive days, you eliminate every single scarcity-based statement from your vocabulary. You don't say, "I can't afford that." You don't say, "That's too expensive." You don't say, "I'm broke," or "I'm poor," or "money is tight." You don't complain about prices or bills. You don't talk about economic problems or financial stress. For 7 days, you only speak abundance. If you catch yourself about to make a scarcity statement, you stop mid-sentence and rephrase. Instead of "I can't afford that," you say, "I'm choosing not to purchase that right now," or "I'm allocating my resources elsewhere," or "That's coming soon." This challenge is harder than it sounds because scarcity language is so habitual, but it's incredibly powerful. Your words are broadcasting constantly, and when you clean up your language, you clean up your frequency. Micro Challenge 2. The Generosity Practice. For the next 14 days, you give something away every single day. This might be money, even if it's just $1 to someone who needs it. This might be your time, helping someone with something they're struggling with. This might be a compliment, an introduction, a share of someone's work you admire. The specific form doesn't matter. What matters is that you're practicing the frequency of having enough to share. Generosity is one of the highest frequency states you can broadcast from because it's based on sufficiency. You can only give when you feel you have. Micro Challenge 3. The Prosperity Walk. Once a day for 10 days, you take a 20-minute walk in an affluent area of your town or city. You walk through neighborhoods with beautiful homes. You look at expensive cars. You window shop at high-end stores. And as you do this, instead of feeling envious or discouraged, you practice feeling happy for the people who have these things and knowing that you're tuning into this frequency. You say to yourself as you walk, "This level of wealth exists. It's real. It's available. I'm tuning to this frequency now. People who have this are not fundamentally different from me. They're just broadcasting differently, and I'm learning to broadcast the same way." This practice recalibrates your nervous system to feel comfortable around wealth instead of intimidated or resentful. Micro Challenge 4. The Investment Commitment. Within the next 30 days, you invest money in something that will increase your earning capacity. This might be a course, a book, a certification, a coach, a tool for your business, a website, better equipment. The amount doesn't have to be large, but it has to feel like a stretch. It has to activate your abundance frequency by requiring you to trust that the investment will return multiplied. When you make this investment, you're broadcasting, "I am someone who invests in my growth. I trust that spending money on my expansion will create more money. I'm playing the wealth game, not the survival game." This single act can shift your frequency dramatically because it's not just thinking differently, it's acting differently. Micro Challenge 5. The Abundance Anchoring. You choose a physical object that will serve as your abundance anchor. This might be a specific piece of jewelry, a stone you carry in your pocket, a bracelet, a coin. Every time you touch this object, you pause for 5 seconds and consciously tune to abundance. You feel grateful. You affirm your prosperity. You remember that you're a magnet for wealth. Over time, this object becomes so associated with your abundance frequency that just touching it instantly shifts your state. You're creating a physical anchor for a mental frequency, and it's incredibly effective. Choose your object today and start using it immediately. Micro Challenge 6. The Appreciation Bombardment. For 3 consecutive days, you find 100 things each day to appreciate. They don't all have to be related to money, but at least 20 of them should be. This practice forces your brain to search for abundance everywhere. And what you search for, you find. By the end of day 3, you'll be seeing abundance in places you never noticed before. Your RAS, reticular activating system, will have been retrained to filter for abundance instead of lack. This is one of the fastest ways to shift your default frequency because you're literally rewiring your neurology. Micro Challenge 7. The Bold Ask. Sometime in the next 2 weeks, you ask for something that scares you. You ask for a raise. You pitch your services at a higher rate than you've charged before. You apply for a position that feels like a stretch. You propose a business partnership. You request something you want but have been too afraid to ask for. The specific ask doesn't matter. What matters is that you're practicing the frequency of expecting to receive. which is very different from the frequency of hoping you might receive. This challenge will trigger all your blocks around worthiness and deservingness, which means it's exactly what you need to do. The universe responds to boldness backed by belief. As you move through these micro-challenges, you're going to encounter resistance. Your ego doesn't want you to change because change threatens its sense of identity and control. Your ego has built an entire story around you being someone who struggles with money, and it will fight to keep that story intact. So let's talk about what that resistance looks like and how to move through it, without letting it derail your transformation. Resistance often shows up as sudden emergencies or crises that demand your attention and energy. Right when you're building momentum with your frequency work, your car breaks down, or your rent increases, or a family member needs financial help, or you get sick and have medical bills. These events feel like bad luck or terrible timing, but they're actually tests. The universe is asking, are you going to interpret this through your old frequency or your new one? Are you going to panic and drop into scarcity, or are you going to stay steady in abundance knowing that solutions are coming? The wealthy response to unexpected expenses is completely different from the poverty response. Someone with a poverty frequency sees an unexpected expense and thinks, "See, I can never get ahead. Something always goes wrong. I'm cursed. Money is impossible." Someone with an abundance frequency sees the same expense and thinks, "This is temporary. The money for this is already on its way. I trust the process. I'll handle this easily." Same circumstance, different frequency, radically different outcome. The person who panics tends to make desperate decisions that create more problems. The person who stays steady tends to find solutions quickly that often leave them better off than before. Here's a specific example. A man named David was 3 weeks into his frequency work when his refrigerator died. The repair estimate was $800 he didn't have. His immediate reaction was panic and anger. He thought, "Of course this happens right when I'm trying to get ahead." But then he caught himself. He recognized this as a frequency test. He took 5 deep breaths. He said out loud, "The money for this is coming. I don't know how, but I trust it's coming. I stay on the abundance frequency even though this feels scary." Then he let it go and went about his day maintaining his practices. 2 days later, a friend called saying she'd just gotten a bonus at work and wanted to treat David to dinner. At dinner, David mentioned the refrigerator situation casually, not asking for help, just sharing what was happening. The friend immediately offered to lend him the money, interest-free, no specific repayment timeline. David was amazed, but I wasn't. This is how frequency works. He stayed on the abundance channel despite the crisis, and the universe sent a solution through an unexpected avenue. But here's the key. If David had spent those 2 days in panic and scarcity, broadcasting desperation, he probably wouldn't have gone to that dinner. He would have declined, thinking he couldn't afford to eat out. Or if he'd gone, he would have been so stressed and closed off that the friend wouldn't have felt comfortable offering help. His abundance frequency kept him open, relaxed, and available to receive the solution. Another form of resistance is self-sabotage. You're building momentum, money is starting to flow, opportunities are appearing, and then you do something that undermines your progress. You overspend for no good reason. You turn down an opportunity out of fear. You pick a fight with someone who's trying to help you. You stop doing your frequency practices even though they're working. This self-sabotage usually happens when your new success level exceeds what your subconscious believes you're worthy of having. You have an internal thermostat for wealth, and when you start exceeding that set point, your subconscious tries to bring you back to the familiar level. The way to overcome self-sabotage is to recognize it as a worthiness issue and address it directly. You sit down with yourself and ask, do I believe I deserve the level of wealth I'm attracting? Do I believe I'm worthy of financial ease? Do I believe people like me get to be wealthy? If the honest answer is no, or I'm not sure, then you have worthiness work to do alongside your frequency work. You might need to do some journaling about where your worthiness wounds came from. Maybe someone in your childhood told you that you weren't good enough or smart enough or deserving enough. Maybe you internalized shame about something and decided you didn't deserve good things. Whatever the source, you need to consciously release it and choose a new belief. I am inherently worthy simply because I exist. My worth is not based on what I do or achieve. I deserve abundance because everyone deserves abundance. Wealth is my birthright. Let me give you a specific practice for worthiness healing. Because this is so critical, sit quietly and place both hands on your heart. Take 3 deep breaths. Then speak directly to yourself, using your name. Sarah, you are worthy. You are enough exactly as you are. You deserve to be wealthy. You deserve financial ease. You deserve to have your needs met and your desires fulfilled. You are not too much or not enough. You are exactly right. There is nothing you need to prove or earn or become. You are worthy now. Spend 5 minutes doing this. Let yourself feel emotional if that comes up. Let tears flow if they need to. You're healing something deep, something that's been blocking your wealth for years, or maybe your entire life. Do this practice daily for at least a week, or until you genuinely feel the truth of those words settling into your body. Now let's address the biggest challenge of all, maintaining your frequency when the people around you are broadcasting poverty. This is huge. You can do perfect frequency work on your own, but if you're surrounded by people who are constantly complaining about money, spreading fear about the economy, criticizing wealth, or telling you your dreams are unrealistic, their frequencies will pull on yours. You're not immune to other people's energy. You're affected by it whether you realize it or not, so you have to get strategic about your energetic environment. There's a concept called the Law of 5 that says you'll be the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Look at the 5 people you interact with most frequently. What are their frequencies around money? Are they abundant or scarce? Hopeful or hopeless? Growing or stagnant? Your financial future will likely look like the average of their financial presence unless you consciously work against that influence. This doesn't mean you need to dump all your friends and family. It means you need to be aware of whose frequency is affecting yours and take steps to protect your broadcast. Start by limiting your exposure to the most toxic frequencies in your life. If you have a family member who constantly complains about money and tries to pull you into that conversation, you politely but firmly change the subject. If you have a friend who mocks your goals or tells you that manifestation is nonsense, you stop sharing your frequency work with that person. You don't need their approval or belief. You just need to protect your frequency from their interference. This might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to being available to everyone and absorbing their energy. But your wealth transformation depends on your willingness to guard your frequency like it's the most valuable thing you own. Because it is. At the same time, actively seek out people who are broadcasting at higher frequencies. Join online communities focused on abundance and wealth consciousness. Attend events or workshops where people are doing this kind of work. Follow people on social media who inspire you and make you feel more abundant. Read books by authors who understand frequency and wealth. Listen to podcasts that reinforce abundance thinking. Surround yourself with content and people that support your new frequency rather than undermine it. Your environment shapes your frequency more than you realize, so design it deliberately. Let me tell you about a woman named Patricia who struggled with this exact issue. Patricia was doing her frequency work consistently and starting to see results. But she lived with a partner who was deeply entrenched in poverty consciousness. Every day she'd come home to complaints about money, fears about the future, and criticism of her optimism. Her partner would say things like, "You're being naive," or "That manifestation stuff is garbage," or "We can't afford to think like that." Patricia would maintain her frequency all day, and then within an hour of being home, she'd feel it draining away. She was trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. Patricia had a choice: end the relationship or find a way to maintain her frequency despite it. She chose the latter because she loved her partner and believed they could grow together. But she got very intentional about frequency protection. She started doing her morning practice before her partner woke up. She'd lock herself in the bathroom if necessary to have those 10 minutes of pure frequency work. She stopped discussing her abundance practices with her partner, realizing that sharing them was just inviting criticism that would lower her frequency. She created a separate space in their home, just a corner with a chair where she could go to reset her frequency whenever she felt it dropping. She started wearing headphones in the house sometimes, listening to frequency-raising content instead of absorbing her partner's scarcity talk. Most importantly, Patricia realized that she didn't need to convince her partner of anything. Her results would speak for themselves. So she stopped defending her beliefs and practices. When her partner complained about money, Patricia would simply say, "That's hard, I understand," without joining the complaint. She wouldn't try to shift her partner's frequency. She'd just protect her own. And something interesting happened over time. As Patricia's financial situation improved dramatically through her frequency work, her partner started getting curious, started asking questions, started noticing that Patricia seemed happier and less stressed despite making the same complaints. Eventually, her partner started experimenting with some of the practices, but that only happened because Patricia maintained her own frequency first. She became living proof that this works, and that proof was more convincing than any argument could have been. Your job is not to convert anyone to abundance consciousness. Your job is to embody it so completely that your results become undeniable. Let your life be the evidence. Let your transformation speak louder than your words. When people see you genuinely happy, financially thriving, and operating from a place of ease, they'll either be inspired and ask you how you did it, or they'll distance themselves because your frequency no longer matches theirs. Either outcome is fine. You're not here to make everyone comfortable with your growth. You're here to step fully into your wealth and become the person you were always meant to be. Now let's talk about the advanced frequency techniques that take you from good results to extraordinary results. These are the practices that separate people who improve their financial situations from people who completely transform their entire relationship with wealth and abundance. Once you've mastered the basics and you're maintaining your frequency consistently, these advanced techniques will accelerate your results exponentially. Advanced Technique 1. Future Self-Integration. Most visualization focuses on imagining a future version of yourself who's wealthy. But what if instead of imagining them, you became them right now? Future self-integration is the practice of embodying your wealthy future self in your present moment. You ask yourself throughout the day, what would my wealthy self do in this situation? How would my wealthy self handle this decision? What would my wealthy self think about this challenge? And then you decide, and think that way right now, not someday when you have more money. You're collapsing the timeline between who you are and who you're becoming by simply choosing to be that person now. This practice is incredibly powerful because it shifts your identity, not just your circumstances. You stop being someone who's trying to become wealthy and start being someone who is wealthy and just waiting for the bank account to catch up. Advanced Technique 2. Quantum Financial Jumping. This is based on quantum physics principles about parallel realities. The theory is that infinite versions of your life exist simultaneously, including versions where you're already wealthy. Quantum jumping is the practice of consciously selecting which version you're going to experience. Here's how you do it. Get into a meditative state, deeply relaxed. Visualize a door in front of you. Behind that door is a version of reality where you're already experiencing the level of wealth you desire. Open the door and step through. As you do, feel yourself shifting into that reality. See it, feel it, believe it's happening right now. Then open your eyes and live from that reality. This isn't fantasy or escape. It's deliberately choosing which frequency you're going to broadcast, knowing that your broadcast determines which version of reality you experience. When done with full belief and commitment, quantum jumping can create seemingly miraculous shifts in your circumstances. Advanced Technique 3. Energetic money magnets. This practice involves creating visual or physical representations of wealth that serve as constant frequency anchors. You might create a vision board, but instead of just looking at it occasionally, you charge it energetically every day. You stand in front of it, place your hands near it, and deliberately send the emotion of gratitude and expectation into it. You're creating an energetic field around this object that continuously broadcasts abundance even when you're not consciously focusing on it. Some people do this with a specific object like a crystal or a coin. They hold it while doing their frequency practices until it becomes saturated with abundance energy. Then they carry it with them, and every time they touch it, they're connecting with that abundance field. This might sound esoteric, but it's just leveraging the principle that everything is energy, and energy can be stored, transferred, and amplified. Advanced Technique 4. Wealth Language Reprogramming. You've already cleaned up your scarcity language, but now you're going to go deeper. You're going to reprogram your internal dialogue to match wealth consciousness at a subconscious level. This involves creating a list of wealth affirmations that specifically address your unique blocks and repeating them in a particular way. You record yourself speaking these affirmations using your own name and present tense. Then you listen to this recording right before sleep every night. As you're falling asleep, your subconscious is most receptive to new programming. Over time, these affirmations bypass your conscious resistance and install themselves at a deep level. People who do this consistently for 30 to 60 days often report that their automatic thoughts about money have completely changed without any effort. The reprogramming happened subconsciously while they slept. Advanced Technique 5. Energetic Tithing. Traditional tithing is giving 10% of your income to spiritual or charitable causes. Energetic tithing is similar but more specific. You give a percentage of every dollar you receive immediately, with the specific intention of amplifying your abundance frequency. The amount doesn't matter as much as the immediacy and intention. When you receive $50 and you immediately give 5 of it away, you're broadcasting, "I have so much that I can share. Money flows through me freely. I'm a conduit for abundance, not a dam." This practice keeps your energy moving, which is crucial. Now I want to share with you some real-world scenarios that show exactly how frequency shifts play out in everyday situations. These are composite stories drawn from hundreds of people I've worked with, and I'm sharing them because sometimes you need to see the specific mechanics of how this works in practical, mundane moments. Theory is beautiful, but application is where transformation happens. Scenario 1. The job interview frequency test. Marcus had been unemployed for 4 months. He'd sent out dozens of resumes and finally got called for an interview at a company he really wanted to work for. The morning of the interview, he woke up with his stomach in knots. His first thought was, what if I blow this? This might be my only chance. I need this so badly. He recognized immediately that he was broadcasting desperation, which is the lowest frequency you can bring to an interview. So he stopped himself. He sat on the edge of his bed and did his frequency reset practice. He took 5 deep breaths. He said out loud, "I am valuable. I have skills this company needs. This interview is just a conversation. If this job is aligned with my highest good, I'll get it. If not, something better is coming. I trust the process. I'm broadcasting abundance." He spent 10 minutes visualizing himself in the interview, feeling confident, relaxed, and genuinely enjoying the conversation. He saw himself answering questions with ease. He saw the interviewers smiling and nodding. He felt the feeling of already having the job. Then he got dressed, and as he put on his shirt and tie, he consciously chose to dress as his wealthy future self, not as his desperate, unemployed self. He stood differently. He walked differently. He drove to the interview maintaining that frequency, not letting his mind spiral into worst-case scenarios. When Marcus walked into that interview room, the interviewers later told him there was something different about him. He had a calm confidence that stood out from every other candidate. He didn't come across as needy or desperate. He asked questions about the role as if he was interviewing them as much as they were interviewing him. He spoke about his skills with certainty, not arrogance, but genuine belief in what he brought to the table. He left the interview feeling good regardless of the outcome because he'd maintained his frequency throughout. He got the job offer 3 days later, and not only that, they offered him $5,000 more than the posted salary because they didn't want to risk losing him to another company. That's the power of broadcasting from abundance rather than desperation. Scenario 2. The unexpected expense abundance response. Jennifer had been working on her frequency for 6 weeks and feeling really good about her progress. Money had been flowing in unexpected ways. She'd gotten a surprise tax refund, a freelance opportunity, and a small raise. Then one morning her car started making a horrible noise. The mechanic told her it needed a $1,200 repair. Her immediate emotional response was panic. Her chest tightened. She felt that old familiar fear rising up. But then she caught herself. She remembered, this is a frequency test. How I respond to this determines what happens next. She sat in her car in the mechanic's parking lot and did a frequency reset. She said out loud, I trust that the money for this repair is already on its way. I don't know how, but I know it's coming. This is temporary. I stay in abundance. Then she made a choice that seemed counterintuitive. Instead of catastrophizing about the $1,200, she decided to go get herself a nice coffee on the way home, something she'd normally deny herself if stressed about money. She did this specifically as an act of abundance consciousness. She was demonstrating to herself and the universe that she wasn't in scarcity, that she trusted there was enough. That afternoon, Jennifer got a call from a friend she hadn't heard from in months. The friend was launching a new business and needed someone with Jennifer's specific skills for a project. Was she available? The project would pay $1,500. Jennifer almost laughed at the perfection of the timing. She took the project, completed it over the next week, and paid for the car repair with money left over. This is exactly how frequency works. She stayed on the abundance channel despite the circumstance that could have triggered scarcity. And the universe matched her frequency by sending a solution that not only covered the expense, but gave her extra. Scenario 3. The relationship frequency contamination. Robert was doing well with his personal frequency work, but his best friend was going through a difficult time financially and would call him almost daily to vent and complain. Robert genuinely wanted to support his friend, but he noticed that after every conversation, his own frequency would drop. He'd feel discouraged and worried. His abundant thoughts would get replaced with fears about the economy and whether anyone could really get ahead. He was absorbing his friend's frequency, and it was affecting his results. Money that had been flowing started to slow down. Opportunities seemed to dry up. Robert realized he had a choice to make. He could keep being available for these frequency-draining conversations and sacrifice his own transformation, or he could set a boundary and protect his frequency while still being a good friend. He chose the latter. The next time his friend called to complain about money, Robert listened for a few minutes and then said something like this. I hear you, and I know you're going through a hard time. I want to support you, but I have to be honest. I'm working really hard on shifting my mindset around money, and when we have these conversations, it pulls me back into old patterns that don't serve me. I care about you, and I'm here for you, but I need us to talk about other things when we connect, or I need to limit how often we dive into the money complaints. Can we do that? His friend was a little hurt at first, but ultimately understood. Robert maintained the friendship but protected his frequency. He suggested they do things together that were free or low cost but fun, shifting the energy of their time together. And something interesting happened. As Robert's financial situation continued to improve dramatically, his friend started asking him what he was doing differently. Robert shared about frequency work, not in a preachy way, But just as his experience, his friend started experimenting with it. Within a few months, both of them were on the abundance frequency, supporting each other's growth instead of dragging each other into scarcity. But it only happened because Robert was willing to set the boundary first and prioritize his own frequency maintenance. These scenarios show you that frequency work isn't abstract. It's not just sitting in meditation hoping for the best. It's making conscious choices in specific moments throughout your day. It's catching yourself when you're about to drop into scarcity and choosing abundance instead. It's protecting your frequency from contamination while still being compassionate and engaged with the world. It's acting from your future self rather than your current circumstances. Every single day presents you with dozens of these choice points, and each choice is either strengthening your abundance frequency or weakening it. There's no neutral. You're always broadcasting, and you're always choosing what to broadcast. Let me give you one more scenario that's particularly powerful because it addresses something almost everyone faces. The moment when you're about to make a purchase that feels like a risk. Rachel had been wanting to take a business course that cost $2,000. She knew it would help her expand her income, but the price felt scary. She had the money in savings, but it was her safety net, and spending it felt irresponsible and risky. Every time she thought about enrolling, she'd talk herself out of it. Too expensive. I should save that money. What if it doesn't work out? What if I need that money for an emergency? These thoughts were pure scarcity frequency, and as long as she was thinking them, she was blocking her growth. One day, Rachel sat down and got honest with herself. She asked, "Am I operating from scarcity or abundance in this decision?" The answer was obvious: scarcity. So she asked herself, what would someone with an abundance frequency do? The answer came immediately. They would invest in themselves without hesitation because they know the investment will return multiplied. They don't hoard money in fear. They circulate it with trust. So Rachel made the decision to enroll in the course, and the moment she clicked the purchase button, she felt a shift. It was physical. Her chest opened up. She felt lighter. She'd just acted from abundance instead of scarcity, and her whole being knew it. Within 2 weeks of starting the course, Rachel implemented one strategy she learned and landed a client that paid her $3,500. Within a month, she'd made back the cost of the course and then some. Within 3 months, the strategies she learned had increased her monthly income by 40%. But here's what's even more important. Rachel learned that investing from abundance always returns more than hoarding from scarcity. That lesson changed her entire relationship with money. She stopped seeing spending as loss and started seeing strategic investment as multiplication. This one frequency shift around investment versus hoarding probably added hundreds of thousands of dollars to her lifetime earnings. Now let's talk about the day-by-day micro shifts that compound into massive transformation. Most people expect change to be dramatic and sudden, but real lasting change is usually the accumulation of tiny shifts repeated consistently. You don't go from poverty consciousness to wealth consciousness in one giant leap. You get there through hundreds of small frequency adjustments made day after day until the new frequency becomes your default. So I'm going to give you specific micro shifts for different days and situations so you know exactly what to practice and when. Monday micro shift. This is the start of your week. So your Monday frequency sets the tone for the next 7 days. Your Monday practice is to decide before the day begins what this week will be about energetically. You state out loud, "This week I am a magnet for financial opportunity. This week money flows to me from expected and unexpected sources. This week I notice abundance everywhere. This week I make decisions from prosperity. This week I am unshakable in my abundance frequency." You say this like you're programming the week, because you are. Your declaration creates an energetic template that the week will fill. Do this every Monday without fail. Tuesday micro shift. Tuesday is your abundance evidence day. Your only job today is to notice and record every single piece of evidence that abundance exists in your life. You got a free coffee. Evidence. You found a quarter on the street. Evidence. Someone complimented your work. Evidence. You have running water and electricity. Evidence. You Thought of an idea that could make money. Evidence. By the end of Tuesday, you should have at least 20 items on your evidence list. This practice trains your brain to filter for abundance, and whatever you filter for becomes your reality. Wednesday micro shift. Wednesday is halfway through the week, and this is often when people's frequencies start to sag. They started the week strong, but by Wednesday they're tired and stress is building. So Wednesday is your frequency reset day. At midday, you take 15 minutes, even if you have to hide in your car or a bathroom, and you do a full reset. Breathing, visualization, gratitude, intention setting, the whole practice. This reset ensures you don't lose momentum halfway through the week. Wednesday determines whether your week stays high frequency or slides into struggle. Thursday micro shift. Thursday is your inspired action day. Your practice today is to take at least one action that comes from inspiration rather than obligation. Maybe you've been thinking about reaching out to someone for a potential collaboration. Do it today. Maybe you've had an idea for a side income stream. Take the first step today. Maybe there's a skill you want to learn that could increase your earnings. Enroll in something today. Don't overthink it. Just act on one inspired impulse and watch what unfolds from that action. Friday micro shift. Friday is your celebration and amplification day. Your practice today is to acknowledge every win you had this week, no matter how small, and celebrate it. You made it through the week maintaining your frequency more often than not. Celebrate that. Money came in, even if it was just your regular paycheck. Celebrate that. You caught yourself in scarcity thinking and shifted. Celebrate that. Then you amplify these wins by imagining next week's wins being even bigger. You're training your consciousness to expect increasing abundance, not just maintaining the same level. Saturday micro shift. Saturday is your frequency protection day. Today you audit your environment and relationships. You ask yourself, what in my environment is supporting my abundance frequency and what is undermining it? Who in my life is broadcasting abundance and who is broadcasting scarcity? What content am I consuming that raises my frequency and what content is lowering it? You make at least one change today based on your audit. Maybe you unfollow negative accounts on social media. Maybe you rearrange your space to feel more abundant. Maybe you decide to see less of a particular person who drains your frequency. Take one concrete action to improve your energetic environment. Sunday micro shift. Sunday is your future self-connection day. Today you spend 30 minutes in deep visualization connecting with your future self who is already living the financial reality you desire. You don't just imagine them, you become them. You feel what they feel. You think what they think. You see through their eyes. You ask them for guidance. What do I need to know right now? What should I focus on this coming week? What am I not seeing that you can help me see? Then you listen. Often insights will come that are profoundly helpful. You're accessing your own higher wisdom by connecting with the version of you who has already achieved what you're working toward. These daily micro shifts might seem simple, but their cumulative effect is extraordinary. You're not just doing occasional frequency work. You're living a frequency-focused life. You're making abundance consciousness your default operating system. And when that happens, when abundance becomes who you are rather than something you're trying to achieve, wealth has no choice but to manifest in your physical reality, because your reality always matches your frequency. Let me share with you what the final stage of frequency mastery looks like. This is when you've done the work consistently for months or years, and abundance has become so natural to you that you barely have to think about it anymore. You automatically think abundant thoughts. You automatically interpret circumstances through the abundance lens. You automatically take inspired action. You automatically maintain your frequency regardless of what's happening around you. You've become someone new, and that someone lives in a completely different financial reality. People at this level of mastery have what I call frequency immunity. External circumstances can't knock them off their channel anymore. The economy can crash and they stay abundant. Unexpected expenses can appear and they stay calm. People can criticize or doubt them and they stay certain. They've built such a strong foundation of abundance consciousness that temporary challenges are just that, temporary. They don't interpret them as evidence that abundance isn't working. They see them as minor fluctuations in an otherwise abundant reality. They also have what I call frequency magnetism. They don't chase opportunities. Opportunities chase them. They don't convince people to work with them or buy from them. People feel drawn to them naturally because their energy is so clear and high. They don't worry about money because they've proven to themselves thousands of times that money always comes. They've built such a strong track record of the universe responding to their frequency that trust is automatic. Doubt doesn't even occur to them anymore because they have so much lived evidence that this works. And they have frequency overflow, which means their abundance spills over into every area of their life, not just finances. Their relationships improve because they're not operating from neediness or scarcity. Their health improves because they're not stressed and contracted. Their creativity expands because they're not in survival mode. Their sense of purpose clarifies because they have the mental and emotional space to explore what truly matters to them. Wealth was the doorway, but the transformation goes so much deeper than money. This is what's available to you. Not someday far in the future after years of grinding. Sooner than you think if you commit to this work fully. The people who achieve frequency mastery aren't special or gifted or lucky. They just decided that their frequency was worth protecting and cultivating, and they did the work consistently until the new frequency became their default. You can do this. You are doing this. With every page of this book, with every practice you implement, with every moment you choose abundance over scarcity, you're becoming someone new. You're retuning your broadcast. You're changing your life from the inside out. So where do you go from here? How do you take everything you've learned and turn it into lasting transformation? You start today, not tomorrow, not when circumstances improve, not when you feel more ready. Today, right now, in this moment. You make the decision that you are now someone who operates on the abundance frequency. You claim that identity. You step into it fully. And then you do the practices, not perfectly, but consistently. You catch yourself in scarcity thoughts and shift. You visualize your abundant future and feel it as real. You express gratitude for what you have while expecting more. You take inspired action when it arises. You protect your frequency like your life depends on it, because your quality of life absolutely does depend on it. You also commit to the long game. This isn't a quick fix or a one-time shift. This is a lifestyle, a way of being, a fundamental transformation of how you relate to money, abundance, and your own creative power. There will be days when it feels effortless and days when it feels impossible. You keep going anyway. There will be evidence that it's working and moments of doubt when you question everything. You choose faith anyway. There will be people who support your transformation and people who try to pull you back to the old frequency. You protect your frequency anyway. And you stay curious. You keep learning. You keep refining your understanding of how frequency works. You pay attention to what practices create the biggest shifts for you personally. You notice patterns in how the universe responds to your specific broadcast. You become a student of your own frequency and a master of your own wealth creation. This journey is endlessly fascinating if you stay engaged with. I am abundant. Wealth is my natural state. I am a powerful creator, and my thoughts shape my reality. I choose to broadcast abundance regardless of current circumstances. I am worthy of financial ease and prosperity. I release all scarcity consciousness and embrace my birthright of wealth. I trust that the universe is responding to my frequency with perfect precision. I expect money to flow to me easily from multiple sources. I am grateful for what I have and excited for what's coming. I protect my frequency like the precious resource it is. I take inspired action when it arises. I maintain my practices consistently. I am committed to this transformation for as long as it takes. I am becoming someone new, someone who lives in ease and abundance. I am tuned to the frequency of fortune, and fortune is tuning to me. I claim this reality now, and so it is. Did you feel that? Did you feel the shift that happens when you declare something with full conviction? That's the power of your word. That's the power of your intention. That's the power of your frequency when it's clear and strong and directed. You just broadcast a signal into the universe, and the universe heard it and is already beginning to respond. You might not see evidence immediately, but trust me, the wheels are in motion. Your frequency has shifted and your reality is shifting to match it. From this moment forward, you are no longer a passive receiver of random luck. You are an intentional broadcaster of fortune. You understand that your mind is the most powerful technology you possess, capable of tuning into any frequency you choose. You've learned that wealth isn't out there to be chased. It's in here to be claimed through consistent broadcasting at the abundance frequency. You've discovered that circumstances don't determine your frequency determines your circumstances. And you've decided, consciously and deliberately, to change the channel from poverty to abundance, from scarcity to sufficiency, from struggle to flow. The transformation isn't coming. The transformation is now. In this moment, as you integrate what you've learned and commit to the practice, you're becoming someone new, someone who expects wealth, someone who trusts abundance, someone who broadcasts at a frequency that makes fortune inevitable. The old you, the one who stressed about money and felt powerless over your financial situation, is dissolving with every conscious breath, every intentional thought, every deliberate feeling of gratitude and expectation. The new you, the abundant you, the you who masters frequency and magnetizes wealth, is emerging fully formed, ready to claim what's always been yours. This isn't the end of your journey. This is the beginning. You're stepping onto a path that leads to financial freedom, yes, but also to something far more valuable. The knowledge that you create your reality through the frequency you hold. This knowledge will transform every area of your life, not just your finances. Because once you understand that you can tune your mental broadcast and attract matching circumstances, you'll apply this principle everywhere. Your relationships will improve. Your health will improve. Your sense of purpose will clarify. Your joy will expand. All of it starts with the same principle. You are always broadcasting a frequency, and that frequency creates your experience of reality. So go forward with confidence. Go forward with trust. Go forward knowing that every moment is an opportunity to choose your frequency, and every frequency you choose sends a signal that the universe will match. You're not hoping for wealth anymore. You're broadcasting it. You're not wishing for abundance. You're embodying it. You're not trying to get rich. You're claiming your natural state of prosperity. And because you're broadcasting with consistency, clarity, and power, wealth is already moving toward you, attracted magnetically to the signal you're sending out, arriving in perfect timing, in amounts that match your frequency. The frequency of fortune is no longer a mystery to you. It's a tool you know how to use, a channel you know how to find, a state you know how to maintain. Your financial future is no longer uncertain because you're no longer broadcasting uncertainty. You're broadcasting expectation, gratitude, trust, and abundance. And the universe, always listening, always responding, is preparing to deliver matching experiences beyond what you've allowed yourself to imagine. Not because you're special or lucky or chosen, but because you've finally learned to tune your mind to the frequency where wealth lives. And on that frequency, fortune isn't a hope or a dream. It's inevitable. It's natural. It's yours. Welcome to your new frequency. Welcome to your abundant life. Welcome to the channel where fortune flows freely and wealth is not something you chase, but something that chases you. Drawn to the powerful, consistent, unshakable signal you're now broadcasting into the universe every single moment of every single day. The dial has been turned. The frequency has been set. And your financial transformation, already begun, will continue to unfold with increasing speed and magnitude as you stay true to this one simple truth. Change your frequency. Change your fortune. Master your broadcast, master your wealth. Hold your channel steady and watch as your outer world reshapes itself to match the frequency you're holding within. You are the broadcaster. You are the creator. You are the magnet. And fortune, dear listener, fortune is already on its way to you, tuning into your signal, preparing to pour into your life in ways you can't yet imagine but will soon experience as your daily reality. Your abundant future starts now, and it starts with the frequency you're holding in this very moment. Broadcast abundance, expect wealth, trust the process, and watch your life transform in ways that will astound you, delight you, and prove to you once and for all that you were always meant to live in prosperity. The frequency of fortune is yours. Claim it, own it, live it. Your wealth is inevitable.